How are you? Good,
Good,
to see
how are you?
Good. Hi, how are you?
Kevin.
Kevin, pleasure.
Rich.
Rich, how are you, Rich? Good to see you. What's happening, Rich? What's going on?
Boy, Jace was a piece of work. And you made him so real. It's like, you know, when you sit at the TV, you actually get mad.
Must have done something right.
This guy had every stereotype in the book, and your character, what I love is when you were with your wife, you were basically, I thought you were the bad guy, but then when you were with your client, you switched roles, you became the good guy, and Jace was the bad guy. So, what did you think of that character when you read him on paper? Because he does every stereotype in the book. Homophobic, sexist, racist, he covers the whole gamut.
Yeah, it was pretty scary. I mean, it's a pretty daunting task to kind of take on something of that magnitude. And being a fan of Neil's work and understanding where he comes from is from the theater background and his writing and how specific he is, and knowing his history with his writing and how he attacks characters in general, and was very appealing to me. So for me, it was really trying to understand that first, and understanding the foundation of what the character was really all about, the writing was all about. Because it's kind of with him, it's like a process of understanding the grooves in the table and the nooks and the crannies, and understanding how you have to get one right before you get to the next one. Right. You know, how he walks, how he dresses, how he talks, the rhythm, the speech, the whole thing, and then you kind of just use a lot of substitution, factually or fictionally with inside yourself in order to portray that. A lot of other color secrets I can't really share with you, but it obviously works. So, but it's thoroughly enjoyable, yet but very very scary, because you know people are going to react pretty harshly to this type of character, and I remember reading it and my wife saying to me, you know, it's scary, but you're not that character, you're portraying that character, you know, and there are people that are kind of out there that are like that, you know, and that's the strange thing. It's like, what you can do this, and people can be like, wow, you were a real jerk, or you were a real, you know, you're a real racist, or what you said, you know, you're homophobic, and in today's world, that's a very hot topic, and
especially to be all of it.
And managed by him.
and trying to play it off as a joke. Like, oh no, I'm just joking. But even more so for you to act that. You know, where you've got the pretty clean-cut image with all the shows.
Yeah, all the shows have been kind of either, well, there's always inner conflict and angst and some charm, but look, I think it was just a matter of just trying to find a good balance with him and being able to work off of. I mean, his character was great because there was a moment that happened when we were going off on some kind of tangent, and he was cutting his steak, and I'll never forget this moment, how detail-oriented he was with his steak and his beans, and it was like compartmentalizing on his freaking plate. And I seriously we were so into the realm of the rhythm and what we were going into, and I started tripping out on his compartmentalizing on his plate. Like, I'm going off on this tangent and like really figuring out what the F he's doing with his freaking beans and his steak. And it really tripped me out. Yeah, and it really tripped me out. I said, that moment there, I knew we were at a good connection, and it was like these real characters that we were on board with something good. So,
have you guys known each other before this?
No, but he did. That was a very funny moment because he was in the middle of his stuff, and just because his stuff, he just jams, you know what I mean? And keeps going, and he was just looking at my plate, and then he stops and just goes, "What are you doing?"
You had me so drawn in, though. I mean, your personality, and you were so intense, looking around, and you're wearing. I'm like freaking out on your wear and your hair. It was like, when you start to get into the minute little details of the piece and the moment, and you kind of know that you're in it, which is good, because you can. The challenge with Neil is obviously big chunks of dialogue. You can't really rearrange the words. You try to improvise inside the words, and you want to keep the sentences real, and that was difficult because you got to go back and do a take because I didn't have the and, but, or, nor concept going before, therefore, after. And but it makes sense. It's really easy to be like, hey, we can rearrange those words. I've done it before, but with his piece, can't do it.
It's like to the T, to the letter.
Yeah.
You can't break anything.
Your character, when he's with his wife, and he's kind of a butthole before she lets you know I want a divorce. Then it's kind of like, okay, you know, he's like, please. And then there's a certain part where I didn't know if he was going to get physical with her. So what was that emotion like when you're sitting there and she gets up and you make her sit back down? I was like, God, I hope you don't.
Strangle her. So what's the question?
The question is juggling those emotions between being calm and then almost getting physical.
Right. Well, I think when you first see him, when he first comes in, I think that's the Stanley guy. You know what I mean? He's kind of arrogant, very self-oriented, very busy, successful, not really thinking about what anybody else is doing, just on his own mission. And all of us know those people.
I was going to say, being in LA, you probably know a lot of people like that.
Well, there's certainly a few.
There's a couple you could probably draw from for reference.
I'm not going to name it.
Come on.
And then it was really what I tried to do, what I wanted to do. First of all, you got this great dialogue, and you want to make sure that you're servicing that. And then secondly, you want to create something out of it as well that makes you feel like you're accomplishing something as an actor as well. And I felt like I don't know how many there were, but 3 or 4 different emotions is kind of what you go through over a period of time of being devastated by something. And I wanted to go through those in that one piece. So I wanted to be shocked. I wanted to be upset. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to be kind of pathetic and sad. So I wanted to try and get those all across in a 24-minute piece. So what it kind of did was create this guy that was quite unpredictable, and I thought that was interesting. You know what I mean? Because you're getting to see more than one personality. So that's what
well, I think there's also a little bit of a personality shift even between episodes. So we sort of hear about all of the characters in sort of 3 episodes or maybe 4 rather than just the 2 that you're all in, because Bridget is talking about you with Tim, and then you see Bridget and you, and then you see you via the phone in that conversation. What did you have all of the episodes to sort of see that there were other pieces, or did you just get your scripts for your 2 episodes to know who your characters were?
We got the 10 episodes, so you could read as many as you wanted of the 10. I read just my bits, so I don't care about anybody else. No, I'm kidding.
The day before you
I read them all.
He's a professional. He got dialogue down in an hour.
You gotta take care of business.
Guy's trip.
It was really interesting because the first character of each episode, and the one that carries through, kind of dominates the first one, and then is not so dominant in the second. You know what I mean? So I dominated the first episode. It was, it was Stanley, this and that, blah blah blah. And then when I went to his, it was him dominating. Then when he goes to the next one, it's that girl, right? You know what I mean? So
I'll give you 10% of my profits, man. Mean as shit. What, I'm going to let you tell me what to do? You're out.
You never know. You never know. So it really is. It's an interesting carryover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as people, we all have so many personalities. And I mean, you have your mom, you have your sister, you have your daughter, you have your work person, you this, whatever. So we've all got a variety of personalities. What you're getting to see is that variety, who we are, and also who we are in regards to the way that people look at us. Like the first episode you're talking about, where they're talking about Stanley. That's a different guy than the guy that you thought was going to come walking through the door.
Yeah, like Stanley sounds like a womanizer and a dick, and
But he's not a womanizer at all.
No, and then you meet him and you're like, no, maybe he's not that, and it is about perception.
Yeah,
I feel like the first time you see him, you kind of think he is, because he's like, oh, I can get any woman here. But then when it's the episode when it's a breakdown between you two, and you.
But he says I can get every woman here because he's trying to prove a point.
Yeah.
But what he's saying is, I don't screw around. Yeah. I'm honest and I'm true and I'm with you and that's it. So there's no, you know, and he doesn't think outside of that. I mean, he's this one guy who's got his life and it's all kind of written down and planned. It's all in specific boxes. And he doesn't go outside of the boxes. To maintain the level that he's at and what he's doing, everything's compartmentalized.
Which I mess him up because, I mean, we talked about when we went into our episode and we were working on some character stuff, going back in college days, what we used to do and how we used to push the button and raise the bar and how we push each other to kind of win in whatever competitive nature we would be at. Which kind of is interesting to see how, you know, even towards the challenges that I had per se in my episode with him, I was still challenging him to get on board with me and have this fun ride that was a bit mental. You know?
Did you have to? Did you?
Your scene with Kiki was so powerful, and you guys talked about her brother. Like after that scene, you could actually almost see this guy. I mean, you never see him or anything, and she basically breaks you down.
Yeah.
Which you seem like the kind of guy, Jace seemed like the kind of guy who can't do that.
Right.
You never could get to him like that, but she did. What was that intensity like between the two?
Well, I remember when we got to, you know, she was just a different energy that kind of came at me, you know, character-wise for me, and kind of made me uncomfortable as his character, and also made me kind of try to make light of things in a very serious matter. And when we got to the moment of pure, honest truth of subject matter and consciousness of how you can affect somebody and how this person was killed, you know, it really puts him down, and he really became so vulnerable at that specific moment towards the end. And when we were shooting it, I remember Nick came out and said to us, you know, I really want you to take Chase to that level of vulnerability so the audience sees that side for him, where you almost kind of feel sorry for him in a little ways, in a very tragic situation that happened. So it was a wild ride, but she was really at me. Her character was at me and persistent and throwing down the periods and calling me on a lot of stuff, and it's hard to escape that.
Did you end up
also vulnerable? I mean, it's in such a vulnerable place. I mean, to have, you know, all the work that you've done over however many years kind of put in jeopardy based on one situation or one comment that goes so drastically wrong is, you know what it's like when something happens to us and we're up against the wall, and it's just a really horrible place to be at. And so I thought it was interesting watching it to you know, see her kind of dig away at his personality and kind of, as you said, kind of pull out somebody else.
Well, it's that whole phenomenon if you say the wrong thing, it can ruin your career.
It blows up and it becomes, especially in today's world, you see it with athletes, with actors, with politicians, with musicians. It happens.
Yeah.
And it happens on a daily basis because there's so much movement of technology out there that wasn't there 10 years ago. It's a different world,
and you guys talked about that with the tweeting.
Well, that's why I thought it was very informative and very ripe subject matter for this series. It really calls itself on specifics of where we are as a society, and we can really look at it and say, man, it really does happen.
Did you end up looking to any comedians who have had problems like that to help you inform who Jace is?
No.
No? Okay.
I just purely spent the time on the dialogue and the informative information that was there given to me on the page. I think it's a tricky line, is, you know, referencing and using other comedians in order to kind of bring into what that entity is. And so I kind of steered clear of that and just focused on the material and focused on the work with Stanley's character, and really allowing myself to bounce off of him like we did with the plate of beans and steaks. and it's really helped us get through these acts because they were long, and sure, we were like, well, we'll stop here and cut. We got on a roll where we just mowed it. Just opened up. let it roll.
You really had the attitude. That's what got me about this guy. He really didn't give a fuck. He thought he was okay about it.
Yeah, he's very blind. Yeah, he's very blind. He's just like, we got a problem. We got to talk, man. What? What's the problem?
And there's no way you can reel him in. That's what I loved about it. I mean, Jace was Jace, and he's going to do Jace until that little girl got it over there. And then it's like, wow, man, this whole series is
It's interesting.
It is.
powerful.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Pleasure meeting you.